Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. We actually covered this topic not too long ago. I think it was maybe a month or a month and a half ago, and for the most part I wasn't really taking it very seriously. I thought it was kind of a funny concept, just incredibly dumb, and I basically moved on from there, not paying too much mind after that. But I always seem to forget, we're not living in a normal world. We're living in 2023 clown world, and whatever's most absurd, whatever's most stupid, at the end is what you're gonna get. We're coming back to the NAACP's travel advisory, what has been dubbed a Florida travel ban or a suggested ban.
We are going to educate the people about Florida and what Florida is doing to black people that no black person should want to voluntarily come and be subjected to. Don't come into racism. Stay away from it.
And now apparently it's official. It's a national recommendation and advisory. Like the same kind of travel advisory for Americans not to travel to places like Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. Beware of terrorism, kidnapping, extortion. Apparently the same level of advisory now applies to the beautiful state of Florida. Let me show you guys what's going on. It's an absolute farce. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, it's real.
NAACP has issued a travel advisory for Florida, and it's urging the black community to avoid visiting or moving to the Sunshine State.
I'm actually struggling to keep it together. I had to take a little moment there to regain my composure to continue recording. This is some real clown world stuff. The Democrats are desperate. They're desperate for some sort of racial narrative to keep promoting this grievance politics and nonsense. After headlines like this from the previous election, Democrats failed to inspire black voters in 2022. Can they up their game in time for 2024? It seems like something like this is the strategy, but the whole thing is totally incoherent, totally ridiculous. Here's Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP on CNN, making the argument.
African Americans and Hispanics are doing quite well here when it comes to running their own businesses and being able to make money here and being able to live decent lives. How do you address that with this new ban?
First of all, that's propaganda language. Over the last several years, it wasn't because of anything he did in policy. Florida, by geography, is an attractive place where people would like to go. But he's fighting the largest company in the state with Disney around tourism. They just pulled out $1 billion. He is minimizing the quality of education by taking away the diversity for children to learn. He has sought to cause harm by saying that every citizen could carry guns without permit. Those are not business attractive policies. Those are regressive policies that's going to hit a dead end. So you can spin the whatever language you would like to have. The policies that he has put in place are harmful policies to far too many individuals. And I can tell you what Disney has been doing, what we have this call for, it is a trend that's about to pick up, not slow down.
Now, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's either a lying fraud, a disingenuous hack, which he probably is, or he has to be on some sort of cocktail of drugs. The only reason people are moving to Florida, the only reason there's a population surge in the state of Florida is because of geography. What? How utterly ridiculous. Complete fake news. Florida's experiencing a population boom, not because it's a beautiful state, but as a result of policy implementation. When the rest of the world was going crazy, Florida was a refuge of sanity, freedom, low taxes, business-friendly environment. It's literally all Ron DeSantis is doing. That's an absolute fact. And we know that to be true because if we use this guy's logic, well then California should be seeing an absolute boom in population as well. Politics aside, California is probably the most beautiful state, the wealthiest state, the most beautiful neighborhoods, amazing beaches, infrastructure. It's a fantastic place. Who wouldn't want to live in the California hills? But see, people don't make decisions based on the beauty of a place. In some cases they do, but for the most part, the most important thing, outside of living close to family, of course, is standard of living. The simple fact of the matter is that it's just simply more affordable to live in Florida than California. It's getting a little bit more expensive now, which makes sense with all the competition to live there, but outside of rent in the real estate market, you simply can't compare the two, especially when we're talking about taxes. So right off the bat, you can tell that this guy is a complete clown, and he certainly doesn't redeem himself as he continues to speak. That's probably probably the most laughable part of the situation. A travel advisory, you say. Don't go to Florida, it's real dangerous. If you're bumping up your rhetoric to be that extreme, well, you better have some real hard-hitting points. But of course, he has nothing. This whole thing started with the banning of AP American History Studies, which they've disingenuously tried to spin as a banning of Black history studies, which is patently absurd. On a state level, the teaching of Black history is mandated by law. They simply banned a woke rewriting of history. Look, I can't speak for Black people. I'm 100% white European, but just my perspective and my perception, if I was Black, I'd be pissed. This constant gaslighting, this lying, this propaganda, these condescending narratives, the soft bigotry of expectations must be incredibly frustrating to deal with. You know, stuff like this, which is also part of this whole NAACP campaign.
Curfews, closures, and chaos in South Beach as spring break visitors overwhelm the city. Most of those are young and Black, prompting some to question whether race is motivating the city's response.
They're met with heavy police presence, right? They're met with street closures. They're met with closed parking lots.
Miami-Dade NAACP President Daniela Pierre argues the city's amped up police presence and aggressive enforcement of curfew with little notice to visitors sends an unwelcoming message and only adds to tensions.
What are you targeting? Is it crime or is it a culture?
COVID has had people pent up for quite a long time, again, well over a year.
The city's police chief telling Local 10 the environment this year is different, and crowds have been challenging officers trying to make arrests.
I think they're coming here to kind of unwind a little bit, but I think they're also pushing the gambit of obeying the rules.
You just look at the videos. We're not targeting a group of people, we're targeting conduct.
Mayor Dan Gelber says this enforcement is about public safety.
You have a bunch of young hoodlums, not all of which who are Black, just a bunch of out-of-control kids who travel to Florida every single spring break. They run amok, people get robbed, people get shot, there's fights on the street, vandalism, I mean the list goes on. And when the state of Florida does their job and secures the community and sends the police force to actually do something about it, it's the targeting of Black people. I mean, come on, give me a freaking break. You're not safe in Florida if you're a Black man is essentially the narrative that's built up to this NAACP warning. No, you're not safe in Florida if you break the law. And especially not if you don't even live in Florida. You go there for 2 weeks just to cause a ruckus, to commit violence and crime. I mean, for Pete's sakes. I think this year in the Miami area during spring break, a couple kids started unloading their guns. There was a massive shooting in a huge crowd of people during spring break. Probably gang related. I mean, who knows what it is. Are police departments in Florida simply to sit on their hands, do and say nothing about violent crime happening on their streets because if they actually police their streets, they're going to be called racists? It's patently absurd. That may be the policy in Chicago, but that doesn't fly in Florida. It's pretty much that simple. And that's another irony of this whole ridiculous situation. A travel advisory to not travel to Florida if you're a Black American. Yeah, don't go to Florida. Especially don't go to South Florida. You know, a relatively safe beach paradise. No, of course not. Go to Chicago or St. Louis. Go to Philadelphia. How about Detroit? Go to these woke Democrat cities. It'll be a whole lot better for you. Said literally no one ever with 2 working brain cells. I mean, for Pete's sakes, 21 shot Friday into Sunday morning across Mayor Brandon Johnson's Chicago. Meanwhile, Florida, outside of some dangerous pockets, is a safe, thriving party town. You know, scenes like this. Seems like a total nightmare for Black people, right? Of course not. The simple fact of the matter is that Florida is thriving. People have jobs, people are doing well, unemployment is incredibly low, and that applies for all people of all races. And Democrats hate that. They don't want Ron DeSantis' story on the state level to be a story of Republican success, and so they're playing these cheap, pathetic propaganda games, just like every other time they've attacked Florida or Florida's government, because they know they can't win on the actual issues and the actual merit. The NAACP doesn't care about Black people. They care about carrying water for the Democrat Party. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Of course, you know, we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.